What's up people, Craig Lopez back once again with another tutorialism, and today we're going to be talking about Cubase's chord track. Now, not to be confused with the chord pads, which are common to most DAWs, the chord track is completely unique as far as I'm aware to Cubase. Now, it's been in Cubase for a very long time, but it's one of those things that I don't see too many people using, and the reason for that is I believe not too many people understand what it is and what it's for, but in today's video I'm going to show you exactly that, so let's get into this. Okay, so the way this is going to work is I'm going to start off by using the chord track in its most simplest form, so we have something like this. And then I'm going to show you how we can use what's in the chord track to manipulate MIDI and audio in progressively more complex ways until we end up with something like this.
It's going to take this right in the end. I started losing sight of place. It's going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough? It's going to take.
So to get started with the chord track, the first thing you're going to need is an instrument. I'm using the Stage 73 by Arturia. And then of course we need to set up a chord track. So we can do that by right clicking in this area, go into chord track, and I'm actually going to move the chord track into the top section so that it's always visible regardless of where I am in the project. In this section I'm going to route the output of the chord track into the Stage 73. Now I'm going to select the draw tool and click to create a blank chord. Select the object selection tool, double click on the X, and we can audition chords by selecting a root note, a chord type, tension, and a bass note. Or we can go to the chord assistant and audition chords by clicking on the icons. Now for this track I think I would like a minor scale, so I'm going to click here, and I think I would like this track to be in G minor. So using these arrows I'm going to move G minor so that it is in position 1 in the circle of fifths. To add a chord, we can just click on the Add Chord button and select a chord. I think I'm going to go with a 1, 6, 4, 5 progression. Click Add again, click on the 4th chord, add again, and click on the 5th. And now if I press play, we should hear that chord progression play. And if we would like that information as MIDI on our track, we can just select the chord track and drag it down onto our MIDI track. So you always need to be aware as to where your chord track is routed. If I leave things like this, the chord track will try to play at the same time as this MIDI. So I'm just going to mute it, and the MIDI should play back the exact same way as the chord track did. Okay, so let's see if we can add a little bit more tension to this progression. So I've created a new instrument. I'm going to mute the first instrument for now, and with the chord track routed to the DX7, let's see what we can come up with by double clicking on the first chord. Let's try a G minor 7th, and let's try that with a different bass note. Nice. Let's go to the next chord. Let's try 7th. With a 13th. Let's try maybe a sus4. So add a 7th. And a ninth, why not? And maybe just a seventh to end with. Let's have a listen to that. Nice. Okay, let's see if we can do something interesting with this. So I'm going to go to MIDI inserts, go with the Apache SX. Now this is an arpeggiator, so if I just play it in its default state, it will sound like this. I can see where this track is going to go. And let's have a look at some of these presets. So I think I'm going to go with this clean rock guitar 3. It sounds like this. So if I would like to see that as MIDI, firstly drop the chord track into the MIDI track. Let's mute the chord track and I want to solo this channel. Go to MIDI and select Merge MIDI and Loop. Make sure I include inserts as ticked. And click on this arrow here, and the track I want is this merged one. So I'm going to select it and go to remove overlaps. We can turn the MIDI insert off now. And you see we now have those arpeggiated chords as MIDI information. And let's hear that with the original chord track. So the next thing I want to do is create a bass line. So for this, I'm using the Mini V. And if, like me, you're not too sure what notes would be nice to play along with these chords, what we can do with the bass selected channel is select chords. If you don't see it, click on the cogwheel and make sure you have chords ticked. And on a live input, I'm going to select chords. And what I'm going to do is just play these 3 notes here. And watch and listen to what happens with these 3 notes as the chord track manipulates the live input on this channel. Pretty cool stuff. If we open up the MIDI, even though I was only playing this C, G and B on my keyboard, we can see what actually happened as I recorded. And I'm just going to shorten this note here. With an empty chord pad, I'm going to click on this drop down menu and go to assign pads from chord track. I've got the chord pads playing through this Jupiter 8V. This particular patch, Groove Bar, actually has its own inbuilt sequence. And under the player type, I'm going to switch that from piano, which was this, to to guitar. And let's record that in. Just quantize that. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this. And duplicate the chord track. And I'm going to add some automation to this. Using my quick controls. So I'm going to click Learn. I want to automate the brightness. And maybe the timbre. So I'm going to select read and write. Let's record something in. And now let's have a look at what we can do with audio. I'm going to go to Media, Loops and Samples, select something from the Bloom pack.
It's going to take this right in the end.
And let's see if we can work with this one.
I started losing sight my place. I started
And let's try this one for the second half. Maybe let's have a look at another one.
Am I really brave enough? Am I really brave enough?
And if we look, all our vocals are in C minor. So if I play that along with my track, which as we can see is not in C minor, it shouldn't sound too great.
It's going to take this right in the end. I started losing sight my place. It's going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough?
But with the vocal channel selected, let's go up to chords and let's select follow chord track. Let's go with single voice and it's going to select follow directly. And if we have a listen now, the vocal should follow the chord track. Might not sound too great, but there's only one way to find out.
It's going to take this right in the end. I started losing sight my place. It's going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough?
So you can hear it's in tune, but it's a little bit high, and we can see in this drop-down menu, it's because the chord track was telling the singer to sing soprano. Now, if I switch it from soprano to alto, it sounds a little bit better, but still not quite right.
It's going to take this right in the end. I started losing sight my place. It's going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough?
But if I go to the next drop-down menu and try playing about with these options,
It's going to take this right in the end. I started losing sight my place. It's going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough?
that fits a lot better. Let's try the next drop-down menu.
It's going to take this right in the end. started losing sight. My place is going to take this right in the.
Yeah, I think I like this piano altered jazz.
Is going to take this right in the end. I started losing sight. My place is going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough?
So I've added a bit of reverb and delay to the vocal, and now it sounds like this.
Is going to take this right in the end. I started losing sight. My place is going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough?
And to finish things up, what I want to do is change the chords slightly in the second section. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my first MIDI channel, select chords, and I'm going to go to chords and scales, and I'm going to do that for all of these MIDI channels. And I think I want to change the second chord in the second loop. Let's try this. Let's see what happens.
Is going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough?
And let's change the next one. And let's move this across. And add maybe chord 2, so I've got a 2-5-1 thing going on at the end. Let's have a listen to that.
Is going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough? Is going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave?
No, that doesn't work. Let's go back to that C sus4. Let's try that.
Is going to take this right in the end. I started losing sight. My place is going to take this right in the end. Am I really brave enough? Is going to take.
Pretty cool stuff, I'm sure you'll agree. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. I hope you found it useful. If you made it this far through the video, let me know in the comments how you're using the chord track. But yeah, anyway, that's it for now. I've been Craig Lopez. This has been Tutorialism. Peace.